Welcome to the Elided Cast, everyone. Thanks for hopping in, listening to us talk about whatever it is that we're talking about. And this time, that whatever it is we're talking about is going to be on the commodity that is user data. So let's hop right into this topic. When was the first time you kind of became aware of like how the internet kind of just collects information from all of us and how these companies are using that information for whatever the hell they're using it for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I think it's just kind of crept up on us, honestly. Suddenly everyone's always on their computer or phone, right? So I guess for me it'd have to be maybe middle school. I mean, I didn't really have a name for it. Like, I didn't know it was data commodity. But I realized that like almost everyone was just spending a ton of time on computers. Like Facebook, I think, and email were the main proponents of that.
Wait, but that's just like spending time on the computer, not like, oh wait, the time that's being spent there can be tracked. Like, when did you kind of realize like, oh, like there is money involved in knowing what and when people are doing things in mass amounts?
Yeah. Okay, it's probably like a year ago then, because I listened to a podcast about it. Oh, no. Actually, like in my freshman year of college, I took a course about like film studies, but they talked about like the big internet giants and how they have control over all this data. Yeah,
I'd say for me it was like late high schoolish, because I kind of like, because I was interested in YouTubers and all that, right, and how they get money off of Google ads, and I was kind of thinking, wait, how does Google work as a company? And I looked it up, I was like, oh, that's a little chilling.
They basically have a god's eye view on what everyone is searching and what people are searching.
What's crazy about that god's eye view is how Google has kind of overtaken how advertising works. They've completely changed like the name of the game. Like, Google alone has kind of made it so that print journalism just kind of got fucked over, and it's insane.
Like you're talking about newspapers and magazines?
Yeah, pretty much, because like that always functioned on an advertising kind of basis, or actually not just advertising, but there's also people who would, put a coin in those like little machines. But I'm talking about like magazine subscriptions, like news, like Wall Street Journal or whatever, right? Like, used to be like, oh, like you would subscribe and they would like mail you in their newest thing, wherever it wasn't always online, right? And then like they would supplement a lot of their stuff with just like ads in the journal or whatever, right? And then now you look at it and people don't want to pay for like their news or anything, they just want to see it online. And then Google's like, yo, like we're gonna put ads on that. But the thing is about journalism is that now, instead of people directly going to the source, they see it through other means like social media, right? And that doesn't really give people an incentive to want to go and subscribe to any particular news outlet. Right, because if you is
this a data problem or just something with the internet? Because it seems like the internet's just providing a hub for people to access all these articles for free.
Oh, yeah, right. I kind of got sidetracked there. Yeah, it's not really a data problem, but like I would say that that's like an advertising problem. But advertising does tie into data because like it has to be super personalized, at least nowadays.
All right. Yeah, so like thinking on like a data level, like one example is Google, right? But like if we move on to other sites like Facebook, then it's like, well, it has, for one, a lot of your pictures, and they can track like what you share, and what you share is probably what you're interested in, right? So by that, they can know a lot of user preferences, which is kind of chilling.
I mean, it's not just Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it could be anything, right?
It's because like when these companies like, because a lot of the times the companies will exchange this data in like mass quantities, like they kind of like work together or whatever, like buy it off each other and all that, right? So it's kind of just like this big woven network circle jerk of like just big tech companies having a ton of information on just people's habits and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because recently I've been learning about these companies in my like technology management classes at college, and there's just companies that just they organize data. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah,
that's insane. It's not really like a product, right? But like in this day and age, data is that important that you can make a ton of money just by selling to like just other businesses.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so I know one of the speakers from one of my classes said that, well, first, the most important thing in the world was gold, and then up until recently it was oil, right? There's a whole like craziness in the Middle East, but now it is data, and it will always be data for the rest of forever. That's what he claimed.
For the rest of forever?
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean,
You know what?
it's very
I
bold.
would believe that.
Yeah, I would believe that too because I mean it powers everything, right? And when VR gets bigger and bigger, that's just gonna have more data.
Yeah, the scary thing about the VR thing also is like what you call it, they can get more physiological data on you now because of that.
Yeah,
Like, your height or like
Uh-huh.
your posture.
yeah, exactly. Like your bloods, and that could be sold to like insurance companies and whatnot, right? Which is really freaky.
Yeah, it's actually, is that more freaky than what we have right now? When you really think about it, it's kind of like it seems normalized almost. It's like does that really give them any more leverage on us, or is it just kind of like this privacy thing is kind of just like fucked in the first place?
I guess this form of data, you're not really, you're so normally when you're sharing stuff on Facebook or like searching stuff up, like you're doing it. But if you're playing like VR and there's like a headset attached to you that's like tracking all this other extraneous data, isn't that kind of scary? Because you're not like typing it, you're not inputting anything. It's just getting it from you.
Yeah, but like a VR headset's not gonna have like a camera or anything on it. It's just kind of like they can at most tell, like I said, like how tall you are, maybe like your posture, how often and where like you look around. But aside from that, like what else could it really gather on you?
All right, fair enough. And I know for self-driving cars, I read this article that said they generate 100 gigabytes of data a minute. So that just kind of like opens the scope of how much data there is going to be in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the self-driving car thing, that's just kind of how they work, though, because
Yeah.
like a lot of people have this misconception about self-driving cars, and they think like, oh, like it's just like all a bunch of sensors on it that tell it where to go. In reality, they just have everything mapped out already. They have like a lot of like their routes planned from just satellites and shit like that. The sensors are really just there to make sure that like if some like dumbass like jumps in front of the car, like they just don't die. Like,
Okay, so what can we do to handle this emergence of data? Like how should we handle this as individuals?
well, I don't think we should go backwards as like a lot of people are saying like, oh, we need to completely stop this flow of data or whatever and like go back to like dark age shit, because I don't think that's gonna happen. Like
It's like impossible, right? It's
so
so ingrained.
because of that, it leaves us at us having to manage it more responsibly.
Yeah. Yeah, like for instance, you're not gonna just give up Google, right?
Yeah,
Like no one would do that. It's like way too useful. But that's the main like extractor of data.
I think when it comes to managing it, like
Uh-huh.
there just needs to be more conversations like this one, of just people talking about it, and so we can kind of get a better like judgment of, or like read, I guess, of what people like want and how much they're willing to give away. Because like there was like this sentiment I'm reading about online where people are like, well, if my data is going to be sold everywhere, why can't I keep getting money off of this? Like I'd be okay with putting like all this information out there if I was getting paid or whatever, right? But then like the kind of counter arguments against that was like, oh, like it's not really being paid, but like to use our services, that's like your payment, I guess. As in like, oh, this convenience is the payment.
And that's the thing, because now you don't have to pay for all these services. The companies still have to have a way to make money. So it's like it's a catch in itself, right?
Yeah, but then it's weird because that money is the user. Like the user is the commodity, and that's like. And I guess if the user doesn't generate enough money by their data alone, they can't pay the user. But yeah, there were people saying like, yeah, like the users should all just get paid for using these sites.
Yeah, but that's like insane to think about, right? Because if anything, they should be paying to use the website. I know if you go to Facebook, it's like, will always be free, right? They wouldn't ever like swap it and be paying people to use their service.
Yep. Unless there's a big enough revolt, but like, I think at that point they would just stop like being Facebook and just do something else instead.
So when we're talking about like people voluntarily giving information, it'd be more like along the lines of like surveys, right? And those have like incentives. But
I remember like just like Google surveys, like it's like you can do this and get paid. But like I remember what I was reading about was people talking about like just like literally using social media, like we should get paid to use social media. And I'm like, okay, that's a bold idea.
Jeez, yeah, I know Facebook had the whole craziness with was it Cambridge Analytica, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was insane because they're I forgot do you know what the violation was? I used to remember and now I forgot.
The exact violation?
Yeah.
No, I'm actually not the most well informed of that. I'm just aware of the the fact that they have a lot of data on people that like I think the controversy was like, okay, like people didn't realize the extent of which like, how much they know about us. Even though it's like if you do research and look into it, like and go into Facebook's privacy settings and shit, it's like, like it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why that whole thing was kind of bizarre, like to my understanding, right? Because it's like if you like go into Facebook's settings, you can like read about all this shit. It's all there, but no one does that because it's kind of like like no one reads the terms of services for anything.
Yeah, which is a problem in and of itself because there's way too many things to read.
Like have you been getting those emails that saying like, like there's all these different websites updating their privacy settings or terms of services, so like it's easier to read or whatever. So like that's been like a change that's been happening all of a sudden. So now like a lot of websites you can go and read your thing, and it's a lot more just concise and like more like prettier to look at, I guess.
See, the irony of that is that I don't even read the more concise one. It's just another thing to read.
Well, I mean, I feel like on our ends, like we're aware of it to the extent of like how much data we're giving. Like, there's not really much we could learn from that, but there's a lot of like oblivious people out there that could definitely go and say, this was all new shit to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm thinking from the perspective of someone who barely knows how to use Facebook, how are they going to handle like this? Because like,
because it's like it might not become, because it's kind of like one of those things where like you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's like that might not be apparent to them. Like, this convenience is actually like, oh my god, like there's a lot of data I'm giving away just by using this.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also interesting to look at how like generations treat like their privacy differently, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I know like I've talked to some people our age that I think this might be controversial, but they completely submitted, right? They're just like, yeah, you can have my data, it's fine. I enjoy these services way too much, and I don't have any complaints about you, intruding on my privacy. Because they've kind of grown up with the service, so now it's just so natural to just give out the information.
Well, did they word it like that, as in like intruding on privacy? I don't really think it's like an intruding on privacy thing. It's just kind of like, like they just know this stuff, but they're not really going to do anything with it aside from sell ads.
Yeah.
But it would be like intruding privacy. Like when I think intruding privacy, I think of like more direct shit.
Oh, like physical stuff?
Yeah, but I guess that's like more of like a old way of thinking about it, because it definitely is like not really private anymore than if they know all this shit about you, huh?
Yeah, there is also that mindset. It's like, well, Google knows what they're doing. We'll be fine, right? It's like, it's not going to hurt me.
Yeah, that's, when I think about it more, it's like, yeah, it's probably not the best mindset to be having on this, because it's like, they could be irresponsible. And then, who's to blame for that?
Yeah, so I also read an article about, like, what if we handled the problem by, like, splitting up these companies and establishing more, like, antitrust? But if you think about it, is that possible?
No, because then that just breaks the service.
It's just, like, it works because everything's so centralized, right?
It's kind of like how when they first made, like, I don't know, like telephone landlines or something, it's like it all kind of got fucking put under AT&T instead of a bunch of different companies, because they realized, oh wait, as a service, this works way better for the customers or the users or whatever. Yeah. If it's all like under one company rather than a bunch.
Okay, there's also the question about like how to segment, and I can't think of a good way to segment. It'd just be way too many.
They would end up just like, because like if it got segmented, and then you had to like say that you want to contact someone who's like, I don't know, like in the East Coast while we're here in the West Coast. And you'd have to like go across like two different companies just to reach them. Like at that point, the companies are already gonna be sharing much information with each other anyways. So like it seems a little redundant because it might just end up getting centralized regardless because how much information is just being like flown around.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're essentially asking for collusion,
Yeah.
right?
So I don't really think
Yeah.
breaking it up is like an option because it's like it's so central that like what we talked about in previous like the podcast was like, oh, it's like kind of like a utility, or at least that's how I worded it.
Yeah. Okay. So, what should individuals? So, is it just like awareness? Is that the best solution?
Well, I think it's awareness, but then also like being vigilant against these corporations, as in like, oh, like if you catch them, you know, slipping, then you raise your voice, but otherwise it should just be fine, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a whole like controversy with Zuckerberg, right? But also,
I mean, like it's
yeah.
a really weird problem because you look at it and it's like, did he really do anything wrong? Like,
Yeah,
he also
and-
like, but a lot of people also forget is like, oh, like Zuckerberg, like since Facebook was kind of like the big like first social media thing, it's not just like him being a monster, being like, I want all your data. Blah, blah, blah. It's also like, dude, like the government had their eyes on him. They were like also making, or not making sure he was trying to do anything, but they would definitely go and like keep tabs on him and like kind of, or I shouldn't say him, but like Facebook as like a company in general. They definitely went and like encouraged it in like certain directions. I forget like exactly like how this worked, but it's just like the government is like was aware, or at least the FBI was like, oh, that this is something that collects a lot of information about people, and it's like kind of like a resource that they can use. And like that alone kind of just whatchamacallit, draws the wrong kind of attention, I guess, or like the wrong kind of incentive.
Okay, and also, Zuckerberg never anticipated for his company to be that big.
Yeah, exactly. He was
Yeah.
like, when he started up, it was like people were just sending me their data. I was like, cool.
Now I have all this data. Yeah, and also, I was thinking about the other day about what exactly would the government do to Facebook, right? Like, I guess they could sue them for money, but would they do anything else? Is it feasible for them to place restrictions on social media?
I don't really think so because the government has like differing interests in that, right? Because a lot of intelligence agencies definitely want that to be open, but then like I guess like public interest, for public interest, it's not like they don't want it to be like that free flowing, if that makes sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Because when I was talking about like, when I was talking about the intelligence agency thing, it's like you remember like the whole like thing that happened back in the day with like the FBI being like, hey Apple, can you like unlock this guy's like iPhone for us?
Huge controversy.
Yeah, but like the reason why it was a controversy is because like, people were like, what the fuck? The FBI has the means to do this. Like they're just making like a show out of this for some reason, right? Because remember like even after it was denied, they just went and unlocked it anyways, like a
I
week
think
afterwards or
they're
something.
looking for a master key, right? And I don't think they could fabricate that themselves.
Oh wait, so am I just like completely but like misinterpreting that? As in like, oh, like I thought they were trying to break in, or they just wanted a master key.
Yeah, I'm actually not too sure myself. I've just kind of heard about this from like bits and pieces, but the idea was they wanted to ask Apple for a master key to unlock the phone, but then that would have the master key exist, and that could be used for essentially
Like everyone,
infinite
yeah.
nefarious things, right? Yeah.
Okay, so that's okay. I thought the controversy was just more like, oh, like, they just wanted access to that one phone, but they already had it, and they're just trying to like make a big like shit show out of it, just to like, I forget why.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. God. Yeah.
Intelligence
To be-
agencies are whack, dude. Like,
Yeah.
like people are making all this big deal about like Apple and Facebook and Google, but like you gotta look at the FBI and be like, yo, they're onto something with all this data everywhere. In fact, it might be they're not even onto anything. It might just be just too much, and it's just been fucking up. Because like I remember like reading a bunch of like statistics on how like airport security like hasn't really done shit, and also the FBI has been like really terrible at catching like terrorists and shit before they actually do anything. So it might be it makes me think like maybe they just have too much data and there's too much like red herrings everywhere.
Yeah, and also like I guess the people that are running the show don't know how to handle all that influx of data.
Because like I remember the Boston bomber thing, like, dude, like Reddit went and like got this like random like family hounded by like all these fucking internet conspiracists and shit, and like, dude, like I remember when the FBI like finally like stepped in and said, wait, we have a completely different lead, you guys need to fucking stop this. That obviously gave away like who they like thought it was. So then like the actual suspect like took that as an opportunity like to flee and ended up like doing way more damage because of that.
Oh, Jesus. You know, I've actually I found let's go back to data commodity.
All right.
We got sidelined.
Dude, data commodity goes and like that topic can lead to a bunch of different other topics.
Yeah, it could lead, I mean, you could like we could have an entire podcast on like Facebook if we wanted to.
Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm actually I was reading this article and it was saying the good news is that companies, while they have more data, they can't leverage it better. So like the amount of leverage they have is still the same.
Yeah, basically, it's not like they can force people to do anything. They just know a bunch of information.
Yeah, so that's good because the rate at which data gathering is increasing is like essentially exponential at this point.
Yeah, especially as more and more of the world gets crosses that digital divide and gets access to the internet and all that.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. Yeah, but dude, I'm very like I am not as informed as I should be, I think, on this topic. It actually does scare me.
I think that applies to a lot of people, but like I would also say like this is something that should be taught in schools, but like we all know that schools are like lagging behind a lot because of like how fast technology is like advancing.
So how would they teach it in schools? Be like, oh, you need to read the terms and conditions? Or they would have like a lecture on it.
Maybe not a lecture, but like,
yeah, like how would you teach
something
that?
along because this is like some this is something that's really hard to translate into school, just kind of feeling like archaic at the moment because like the formula of like lecture tests is like not exactly the most conducive to like actually producing, I guess, like knowledgeable people in regards to our like current technology, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's good at making people who can like take tests, right? But that's not like technology.
Yeah, that's just like some weird methodology thing because we all know that people forget everything they study for anyways.
That is a problem. Yeah, that is a huge problem.
Yeah, I remember like it baffled me as a kid when I was reading all these like studies they would have, like they would like give like students like the exact same final of something like years later and they would just completely bomb it and it's like, oh, that's really disheartening.
Oops. Yeah, so because now that schools are becoming more and more like tech savvy, I know this is kind of weird to think about because like schools should be fully integrated with tech already, but like some schools are like picking it up, right? It's like it's become recent, even though tech has been around for like way longer than recently. But I know there's like laptops in schools, right? Some schools have like iPads. So, and like when you're doing a group project or like doing a research project, it's like, yeah, just Google it, right? It's like that's like there's no concern for like data commodity there, and should there be?
Wait. When you bring up data commodity, it just made me realize if a school
Yeah.
like goes and makes all of its students use iPads or whatever, that's like a lot of data, just like for Apple and Google or whatever else. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and also Apple sells their gear at a discounted rate to schools.
It's a weird thing to think about. Like, you get all these organizations out there and institutions, like schools and maybe other like small companies, and they're just like another like data point for all these big companies.
Yeah, but dude, their products are too good. We must have them, right?
Maybe there's a way to leverage that. You know how like some schools have like ads in like the school bus or like maybe on like cafeteria trays or something like that?
Oh, really? I've only seen them in like public buses, not like school buses.
No, apparently there's been some schools that have been doing that. Like,
I mean, it makes money, I guess.
yeah, like if schools need more money, maybe they just sell their data. Who knows?
That's funny. I mean, is that selling data? It's more like it's like selling to your students. It's selling your students out almost, right? I mean, obviously they probably filter the content a little, but whoever is like advertising to the kids is gonna have a leg up on their competition.
That actually brings me to another like train of thought. Like without this user data thing,
Yeah.
like advertising to kids has gotten more and more fucked up over the years.
Yeah.
With all the intense like targeting.
I actually had a lecture on this recently in a class. It was about like Barbie. So initially,
Oh yeah, because they have like
yeah,
smart Barbie dolls and shit. Oh god.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, initially companies they didn't market to kids. The people were like, "Why would you market to kids? Kids have no money. Market to adults." And Barbie was like, "No, no, no. We got it. We gotta market to kids and make them beg their parents for money." And it worked. And I mean, I guess like now you can see it happening like not with Barbies, but like with tech.
I mean, kids still buy like toys and shit. I've like heard that there's like smart toys, as in like they're like Alexa level type of shit, except like they're just toys.
So now we are getting kids
So
data from very early
yeah, so
age.
no, so not only we're getting kids hooked on just like products that are targeted at kids, but we're also getting data from them.
Yes.
Kids are like a giant leveraging point for that.
Yeah, dude, that's really scary. Like if I was a parent, that I think that would be hard to deal with, right? Because like you know that like it's scary, but it's not exactly hurting your kid, and your kid really wants it.
Yeah. Oh god.
Like, what would you do? That's super hard. Talk about with your wife.
I think at that point, yeah, because the thing that's fucked up about that is that when you reach that point with your kids, it's already like too late. You can't really like undo like their perception of like wanting to just buy a bunch of shit that's like being targeted at them everywhere. Because
Yeah,
if you
but,
take
like-
it away from them, then it's like like they're gonna get really mad at you and shit, and like they're gonna
Yeah.
start like throwing tantrums and all that.
How can they avoid it though? Because I mean, the moment you leave the house, there's probably going to be an advertisement. Even if you stay in the house, there's like freaking ads on every video and like sidebar, right?
Well, it's not like leaving the house and you just see an ad. It's like has to be like those targeted ads at them. So like if you ever walk into like a supermarket, you have to be really
Yeah.
mindful of like where you're walking so they don't walk into those aisles that have all this shit that's like on the bottom aisle just targeted at kids.
Oh, it's
Or maybe, like-
cereal or something, or just like
Toys, cereal, like
Toys,
or
yeah.
even just random like also advertisers have gotten around that too, because what they'll do is like you think this only applies to like toys or something like that, right? But you start seeing like say like SpongeBob mac and cheese, or like like it's a T-shirt with Spider-Man on it or whatever.
Yeah.
They start branding just random shit just because it's merchandise, right? And then
Yeah.
like there's really no way to avoid it anywhere when you go into a supermarket.
Dude, I felt like that was straight evil. I mean, like putting like Scooby-Doo on like gummies, like dude, who could resist that as a kid who likes Scooby-Doo? That's so unfair. But then at the same time, that's not really being done for like bananas, right? And like potatoes. It's only be
Oh,
done.
it was even done for
Yeah.
bananas. Or there's like Nintendo caught on to this. They started putting like Donkey Kong like country stickers on like some bananas.
Right on. Good job, Nintendo. But I feel like I have seen like Avengers on like bananas, but the marketing is like nowhere near as explicit.
Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what are they putting on the bananas?
Like it's a small sticker. Like it's probably a sticker like the size of my thumbnail. But like
Oh.
for cereal or candy or whatever processed goods, it's like the front of the box. You can
Yeah.
clearly see SpongeBob. Like he's smiling at you. He wants you to buy it.
Oh my god. I think the funniest shit is just like kids like they can't really explain why they want it. They're just like, if you ask them, it's like, well, why do you want the SpongeBob mac and cheese over like the normal mac and cheese? It's like, oh, because it's like, and then they blank out and maybe they'll say like, oh, it tastes better or something. It's like, well, how do you know it tastes better? It's like, I just know. Like, how do you argue with a kid?
Yeah, that's scary. It's real scary, dude.
No, but that's like shit that's like for like, what do you call it? Like 10 years ago. Like if we think about it now, like look at all the iPad ads, because there's a bunch of ads on mobile apps and kids are constantly downloading shit from the app store all the time.
Yeah, there's also kids that like have their parents' credit cards and like do a bunch of microtransactions.
Oh my god, don't even get me started on this shit.
It's really scary. Oh man, I feel like we diverged from data commodity a bit.
Well, we're talking about the data commodity of kids. Because
Okay.
kids are a huge market and they
Yeah.
also are idiots and they'll just throw their data at you. So
Yeah, they're
kids don't know what ad block is.
some do. So, but what about like the kids that lie about their age? See, that I think that's like a big one, right? Because if you're using Facebook or like, I think it's just Facebook, probably social media, you have to be like 13.
Well,
right?
wait. Here's the thing that fucked that all up. Because the
Yeah.
instant they have a picture of themselves up on there, Facebook has its algorithms and it can tell, oh, yeah, that's a lie.
But what if they don't have a picture of themselves?
Most kids do.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow,
Right,
Facebook has really changed. Okay.
Because Facebook, they always encourage you, like, hey, like, want to upload a profile picture? Like, you got to flesh out your profile.
Yeah, but then
And
they
it's
just put like a picture of like SpongeBob or something, right?
No, because when you hit the edit button, the first thing it jumps to is the camera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you download the Facebook app and like, yeah, that's what it does.
Okay, gosh, okay.
It prioritizes the camera over like upload images or whatever. And also, most kids probably wouldn't even know how to do that if you had to be honest.
Click and drag.
Actually, well, I guess if the kids like above, like they'd have like 7 or 8, like maybe.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just that tap, tap, tap. Ooh.
So I think I had a cousin who like he was encouraged to make a Facebook because of like a game he played.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the games like will, like have this interwoven, just
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, because like a lot of games want you obviously to go and spread the game around, be like, hey, tell your friends on Facebook to go and play this game, and we'll give you 2 free gems per friend.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Oh gosh. All right. Jesus Christ. Do you think this is a good wrapping up point for us, or do you have any more points on data commodity you wanna bash out before we end this?
I do want to point out about data commodity that when we first started this, like, I thought it was an interesting topic, but now as we're talking about it, it's like, wait, there's actually, like, what do you say about it, right? Because it's like, we're currently living in it, and we don't know if the future's going to pan out, so it's kind of just like, oh, we can have our opinions on it and whatever. But at the end of the day, it's also like, dude, we're kind of like at this weird, like, stalemate, because it's like, what do we do about this?
Yeah, because I felt like for a lot of this podcast, I was at that point, I'm like, well, this kind of sucks, but there's not really much we could do besides be careful. And then, like, I don't know what to say. I'll ask Daniel questions.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was feeling that too. I was just like, yo, this is like a sick topic, but it's like, what is there to say about it that hasn't already been said? Or just like, it's just interesting, like, information to add to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the most important thing in the world. Cool. But, like, I don't know what to say, dude.
What I will say, though, is that, actually, wait, I'm going to go on a completely different train of thought here. Do you think people who produce content for social media sites, or not just social media sites, but I guess like YouTube in general, whatever, like, what kind of data do you think that's producing? Like, us making this podcast, or maybe like a YouTuber who's like, making whatever videos or like vlogs, right? Because because usually when you think of like, the users, you think of like, the masses, right? Like the commenters or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But wouldn't it also be like a leveraging point of information to be like, oh, like if this YouTuber is vlogging all the time in like, I don't know, Hong Kong or something, you can also use that as like a relevant data point. It's like, oh, these viewers are interested in Hong Kong vlogs or something along the lines of that. Like, just based on the content creator.
So you're like, if I give you an example, like, oh, this content creator's like creating a lot of camera videos, and then most of his views come from, let's just say, Brazil, then the company would like to market cameras to Brazil more. Is that kind of like the train of thought?
Yeah, but like on that guy's video specifically, or is it just like, do you just put ads everywhere and just say fuck it, like, and just like let them be personalized?
I think they probably track data analytics, and that kind of changes out their ads on the bottom or before the video.
Yeah, because the thing I'm like unaware of is just like how personalized is it? Like, is it like, oh, is it mostly you can just go anywhere on the internet and you can get all your personalized ads, or is it also like, oh, you go to this specific content creator or specific venue and you get like an ad similar to that?
Yeah, that's a great question, but I'm pretty sure the content creator doesn't have much say in it, because after all, he is getting paid by YouTube or whatever site, right? Yeah. Which also brings us like to the problem of like not actually hosting your own like stuff, right? Because you're always reliant on whatever site you're using. So like for us, we're using it like through SoundCloud. So like in that sense, we're kind of reliant on SoundCloud. Obviously, we could like jump ship, but for something like so big as like YouTube, it's really hard to like jump ship, right? Because it's YouTube, everyone uses it. That's like the only like real video site out there.
Yep.
Yeah, like Vimeo doesn't count. I feel like it's just like
Vimeo's where you go for pirated stuff.
Vimeo. Yeah.
But yeah, like
Go ahead.
When I brought up that like train of thought with like content creators and all that, it's just interesting to think like, wait, that's like another data point. Like when you really think about it, you like look around, like you look at every single random aspect of everything. It's like, wait, that's a data point. Wait, that's a data point. Like, ooh, that guy's cat gives me information about this. Oh, wait, that guy's car gives me information about this. Like you can literally make inferences and collect information on everything, and it is insane the rate that that's happening. Like, dude.
Yeah, I think in the future we'll probably see a bit more data being video driven, right? Because there'll be a lot more cameras out in the world.
And there's also gonna be way better algorithms at tracking just videos. Like, dude,
also,
Facebook's algorithms for tracking faces is already really good.
That is freaky. But then it's also funny when they get it wrong. But it's like no, we're siblings. Like no, we're cousins. But it is funny, but also scary. Like when they do get it right, it's like, geez, I'm like barely in the picture how they get it right. So yeah, video will require a lot of processing power, but when that happens,
oh, man, those video algorithms. Whew.
Yeah, and also like storage, right? So like cloud will have to like go like hyperdrive to handle all that.
Dang.
Fun stuff. All right, yeah. So users, I mean, what am I saying? Users, listeners to this podcast, if you're interested in data commodity, I suggest you look some stuff up and tell your friends, because it's pretty scary.
It's the world we're living in now, so it's best that we are informed about what it is that we are doing on the internet.
Exactly, yeah. I would say I am not an expert in this topic, and as a fellow college student, I don't think Daniel is exactly an expert, but I hope this will inspire you to go out and do some hungry research on your own, or just, have it fresh in your mind for when next time you decide to use the internet, I guess. Awesome.
Well,
yeah.
That has been the Alighted Cast episode 4. Thank you all for listening. Signing out.
All right. See you guys.